Welcome to this roundtable about the art of healing with art. And today is World Art Day, and this is my privilege to have with me Dr. Fort, Dr. Lemarquis, and Professor Karkou to discuss the healing power of art. So my first question for you, my dear guest, will be to introduce yourself. And please, Vicky, as a woman, you will begin.
Hi everyone. I'm Professor Vicky Karkou. I am based at Edge Hill University in the UK. I am a research professor of arts and well-being, and I'm directing the Research Center for Arts and Well-being, which covers a whole range of research in the therapeutic benefits of the arts, from working with children to adults to older people. We take pride out of our research being research that has a direct impact, research that matters. So that's why I'm on the panel. I can say a bit more about the particular areas of interest as we progress with our discussion.
With great pleasure. Thank you so much for being with us. Next will be Dr. Fort. Dr. Fort, please, could you introduce yourself and tell us how your work is related to healing through art, please?
Okay, thank you very much, Gila. And for everyone, it's a privilege for me to be in this round table. And mostly what I can say is that I have devoted my life from student to realizing, hey, we need to go and be in the community. We need to go and be with the people, because sometimes we are there sitting down and waiting for a patient, we call it, when it comes to a consultancy. But to me, and that's why I dedicated to global public and community health. And I've been very privileged because it has taken me to all continents, but also it has taken me to meet a variety of people with all very different situations, conditions. And what I can say is that exposure I have had, which again, I had the honor of being with the World Health Organization and then United Nations in New York. And I've realized that having the exposure of all different places, then I realized I want to take pictures of places and people I've been with. And I have used those pictures whenever I was invited to talks or lectures, whatever you want to call it. And so to me, graphic images that do obviously speak more than 1,000 words, as they say. You can imagine even the one that is behind me. So a beautiful bird, on a sunset is telling us, hey, if you are taking a picture, you're enjoying it, it means you can use it for your own well-being and probably for well-being of other people. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fort. We have Dr. Lemarquis. If you could introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your beautiful book that is called Art That Heals.
Mille merci pour votre invitation et puis pour tout ce que l'UNESCO fait pour promouvoir l'art dans le domaine de la santé. Alors, ce livre est né un petit peu du confinement. On m'avait demandé d'écrire un livre avec des œuvres d'art qui avaient une action sur la santé. Vous savez que le premier neurologue au monde, le professeur Karkou, avait écrit un petit livre qui s'appelait La foi qui guérit. Vous voyez, donc tout le monde était surpris de son titre. Donc je me suis dit, si la foi peut guérir, l'art peut guérir. Donc l'art qui guérit, c'était l'idée du livre, en partant de la préhistoire jusqu'à nos jours, donner plein d'exemples d'œuvres d'art qui ont fait du bien à leurs créateurs, mais surtout aux personnes qui ont admiré ces œuvres d'art. Donc je suis neurologue clinicien, donc je vois des patients toute la journée, et puis en même temps, j'ai la chance de travailler à la à l'université de Toulon, en éthologie avec Boris Cyrulnik, qui est beaucoup travaillé sur la résilience, d'avoir un groupe de travail avec lui sur résilience et personnes âgées. Et puis sur Lyon, de travailler avec Laure Mayou, qui est une psychologue, qui développe les œuvres d'art à l'hôpital, l'intérêt des œuvres d'art dans la chambre des patients, et ça donne d'excellents résultats, comme vous en doutez.
Thank you so much for being here. So let's now try to better understand how art can heal with concrete project. Let's try to get to the exact type of artistic techniques that work better for which specific audience. But first of all, maybe Alfredo, if I may, you can help us better understand what is the definition of health, thanks to the WHO definition.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, it's amazing because it's been there for a while, but I find that not many people, I won't say agree with that, but not many people understand the full expansion of this definition, which is health. You know, what we should regard as health should be much more, and should not be understood as the absence of disease. Health should be what we are calling nowadays wellness. What is this? It means that, and also because we need to be, frankly, very conscious that our modern world, unfortunately, especially people who are at younger ages, are suffering not from what we call diseases, you know, physical diseases, but mental health issues, right? So it's the most important nowadays to realize real health is wellness, which means I am feeling well. I know myself, I know everything around me, and I'm comfortable with it. And not only I'm physically well, but I'm mentally, but also some people might say I'm spiritually well, depending. Some people might not, like, the words, but never mind. Whatever works for you, whatever makes you understand and feel well, that's what you should go and feel.
And in that matter, you wanted to share an image that is explaining very well this notion of health being well-being.
So, well, using the word. So what I did, and this is part of a publication I'm actually preparing, is yes, how about we have an image that summarizes what we're all trying to say, that let's use, we like pictures, sometimes we like paintings, and in this case it's just very simple. It's a well. Why it's a well? Because in English in particular, it has this double meaning. It is this depository of the most, if you like, useful resource for a human being, which is water, right? But also well is what we use precisely when we want to speak about things going well, things being well. And so I use it to say, okay, let's use well and then add a few things around it. For example, you will see that there is a lever, right? There is that thing which we turn around to bring up the water, okay? That is the move. That coincides with one aspect of feeling well, which nowadays everyone knows, because we are very sedentary. And unfortunately, COVID also showed us that we are very sedentary. We're sitting down most of the day. And so that is producing some situations which unfortunately are also including some what we call non-communicable diseases. But it's proper, for example, heart diseases. Why? Because we're not circulating, right? So one thing, moving well. But of course, the bucket that brings the water, and we're using it for ingesting well. Why? because we want to say, okay, yeah, not only water, but also food, but it has to be the proper food. Unfortunately, nowadays, especially this industry, right, that is giving us this fast food. And as we know, many people in many countries, even developing countries, they are getting used to eating fast food. Why? Because they are making it less expensive, if you like, and people go for it without realizing, hey, hold on one minute. Maybe it has, oh yeah, it's all fried. Maybe it has too much oil, maybe too many carbohydrates, right? So we need to be also very conscious about that. But also the well has a ceiling, has a roof, yes, because we need to protect what is inside the water, right? And that part I use to say, okay, we have protection because what? Because we need also to rest. We need to rest and we need to feel well. And everything can be obviously surrounded what we call live well. Live and love, if you like, you can add a little O there and say live and love and feel well. Okay?
That's a very, very poetic Alfredo approach. And what is very beautiful is really trying to realize that all of these dimensions could definitely be viewed as an art. Thank you very much for sharing in avant-première, for the first time, this beautiful scheme. Let's hear Vicky about this notion of artistic techniques that work better for which specific audience. You said that you were having an entire program at Edge Hill University in the UK. Could you present some of those, please?
Yes, it's good to follow Alfredo in many ways because Alfredo gave a bigger picture, and I'm going to zoom in a bit. I'm going to zoom in to when we don't have wellness and what happens there, and in particular when we feel low or we have the blues, we have depression. So that's the main focus. The other thing I want to say before I go as a preface, if you like, into some of this work is that I presented myself as a professor of arts and well-being, but my home base in terms of art form is dance, and more specifically is dance movement psychotherapy. So body and movement is what I often talk about is my first language. So with that in mind, I'll share a bit about some of the work we're doing here, and I guess giving a background, some of the background will create a bit more understanding of where some of this work is coming from. So I'm going to, I talked about the research center we have. It's the national center. We do all sorts of different things, projects, events, publications. We have partners locally, nationally, internationally. We work with the WHO. I'm hoping to have Grilla joining us soon, and the launch of the center, the official launch in June. But going to the primary language, my main interest had been to find out whether dance movement psychotherapy works for depression. So dance movement psychotherapy, unlike dance, it's a particular therapeutic approach to working with the body and movement. And we spent a lot of time trying to figure out whether we have enough evidence, whether we have information, solid scientific information on mainly through from randomized control trials on whether this intervention works for depression. So this is one strand of my work. The other strand was taking some of this work and creating information that would be publicly available through different means, papers that are ways of disseminating the information that is not paper-based. So we created performances, research-informed performances for public messaging. Again, with the same theme, and was informed by the systematic reviews and the findings we had from this work on trying to figure out whether dance in all its forms can make a contribution to alleviating depression. So what we ended up doing a lot with colleagues from the University of Salford is looking at not only dance, but also all different forms of the arts and the contribution to depression and the contribution to wellness. How does it tackle depression, reduce depression, but also improve well-being? And we're currently doing a large study that involves scaling up this work to a larger regional and national context. And we have included dance, we're including visual arts, we're including music, we're including creative writing. And the main argument in this work is that, and I guess one of the main things we ended up doing as part of this work is not so much what art form works for depression and makes us feel better, but how we're using the art. And that's an important component and a core part of our research. So we spend a lot of time trying to find out the key ingredients that need to be there in order to alleviate distress, especially when we're feeling low. And these are some of the what you have in your screen are the key ingredients: encouraging active engagement and learning skills. So something about active engaging in the art making. Dance, I say it's very strong with my own biases, but not only, is an important component that vitalizes and creates, sort of kickstarts somebody in wellness. Learning skills related to the art form or to managing the stress and anxiety. Developing relationships, an extremely important component, expressing emotions. Processing at a deeper level and gaining understanding, working through imagination, metaphors, symbols, to explore things that are difficult to tackle if you just talk about them. And that's the power of the arts. And also being able to experiment, try things that you wouldn't normally try, to take roles and take on imagine possibilities of being in a different way and integrating all of that into a new way of being in the world. So this is very much about how the arts are used and the potential they have. And you'll see for some further explorations we are working with neuroscience. Neuroscience Meets Dance is a new project. We just got the funding a couple of weeks ago. We're looking at the mental health and well-being of helping professionals with funding we have behind us from the Wellcome Trust. And we're doing all sorts of projects where we're trying to create the best possible packages, if you like, and the best way of the best interventions, creative interventions for children with emotional behavioral problems, with children with autism and their carers, mothers with postnatal depression, or other communities that are marginalized and not easy to reach through talking therapies. I think I covered a lot, so I'm going to stop here.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being so concrete. It really gave us a full scope on this notion of art and healing. Pierre, could you tell us a little bit about concrete projects that you're doing in order for us to better understand your approach regarding art and healing process?
Alors, la première, ça remonte à il y a une dizaine d'années. Moi, je suis musicien aussi, hein. J'ai été organiste. Donc, je vois beaucoup de patients qui ont la maladie d'Alzheimer, quoi, en tant que neurologue. Et donc, il n'y avait pas grand-chose à faire avec les patients Alzheimer. Il n'y avait pas vraiment de traitement. Et donc, j'ai eu l'idée, enfin, on a eu l'idée à plusieurs, d'utiliser la musique, puisque la musique, ça passe par des voies bien plus profondes dans notre cerveau, avec une mémoire un peu spécifique qui est bien plus solide. Donc, on a commencé à faire écouter des airs de musique à des patients Alzheimer, des airs de leur jeunesse, quoi, des choses qui pouvaient leur rappeler des choses. Et c'était quasiment miraculeux. Vous savez, un patient Alzheimer, vous lui faites entendre une chanson qu'il a aimée dans sa jeunesse, il se réveille. Le temps d'une chanson, il est capable de retrouver les paroles de la chanson, il est capable de vous l'apprendre. Donc c'était merveilleux. Maintenant, on en parle beaucoup. Vous vous souvenez de cette cantatrice, de cette danseuse qu'on a vu récemment, qui retrouvait ses gestes du lac des Cygnes alors qu'elle avait 90 ans. Donc ça a été la première chose. Donc très bel effet de la musique chez les patients Alzheimer. Et jusqu'à une période récente, c'est à peu près la seule approche thérapeutique qu'on puisse avoir en l'absence de traitement efficace par ailleurs chimique, quoi, si vous voulez. Après, il y a eu l'idée d'essayer avec les patients parkinsoniens. Je vois beaucoup de patients qui ont une maladie de Parkinson. Vous savez, dans la maladie de Parkinson, si vous leur donnez une musique, un rythme, ils se mettent à marcher beaucoup mieux. Vous voyez, là aussi, il y a quelque chose de très spectaculaire. Un parkinsonien qui accepte de chanter, d'écouter une musique, il marche mieux. Après, on a eu l'idée d'essayer le tango. Et maintenant, c'est devenu quelque chose qui se fait dans le monde entier. Faire danser le tango aux patients qui ont une maladie de Parkinson, le temps d'une danse, ils oublient leur Parkinson. Et donc ça a été les premières choses. Donc il y avait de très bonnes choses avec la musique. Après, l'essai, on en est venu aux arts visuels. Donc, j'ai fait une petite expérience avec des patients qui avaient une maladie d'Alzheimer à nouveau. Vous savez, les patients qui ont un Alzheimer, on leur fait des tests pour savoir combien leurs fonctions intellectuelles sont abîmées. Ça les rend tristes. On les met face à leurs limites. Après, on leur fait des tests pour savoir s'ils sont déprimés. S'ils ne le sont pas au début, ils le sont à la fin du test. Donc, je leur ai proposé de classer des images des œuvres d'art qui s'étaient envolées à des prix extraordinaires chez Christie's. Donc j'avais le résultat chez des sujets sains, sur 800 personnes interrogées dans la rue. Donc l'idée de le refaire avec des patients Alzheimer, voir si vous appréciez les œuvres d'art d'une façon différente. Et la grande surprise, c'est que ils m'ont très souvent choisi Jeff Koons, vous voyez, d'où le petit chien. Alors, c'était le flower ballon de James Koons, vous savez, celui qui avait été devant le château de Versailles. Alors, c'était amusant parce qu'il me choisissait cette image presque systématiquement. Donc, c'est vrai que c'est un peu le monde de l'enfance, c'est les ballons, c'est du jaune doré. Enfin, il y avait tout un tas de raisons qui faisaient, s'ils le choisissaient avec un grand sourire, c'est que ça leur faisait plaisir, quoi, si vous voulez. Et quand vous faites des tests comme ça avec des patients Alzheimer, ils sont heureux après, ils ont le sourire pendant un moment, vous pouvez les amener au musée aussi, ils retrouvent, ils redeviennent quelqu'un. Vous voyez, c'était quelque chose d'intéressant. Et puis après, dans l'association, donc l'invitation à la beauté sur Lyon, avec une psychologue, Laure Mailloux, on a mis des œuvres d'art à l'hôpital. Mais ça se fait souvent. Mais là, les patients pouvaient choisir une œuvre d'art qui leur plaisait et on l'accrochait dans leur chambre. Donc, du coup, l'hospitalisation était complètement différente. Le patient avait quelqu'un dans sa chambre. Vous savez que notre cerveau, il voit les œuvres d'art comme si c'était une entité biologique, comme si c'était quelqu'un de vivant. Vous voyez, c'est pas. Donc, ils avaient quelqu'un, ils avaient un ami dans la chambre qui était l'œuvre d'art. Donc, le patient était très heureux. Le personnel soignant, les infirmières, discutaient aussi de l'œuvre d'art plutôt que des perfusions, de la douleur. C'était l'œuvre d'art. On a vu des infirmières revenir après leur service pour discuter à nouveau de l'œuvre d'art avec le patient. Vous voyez, donc c'était une expérience formidable. Tout le monde était content. La doyenne de la faculté, le chef de service qui avait accepté l'expérimentation et le directeur de l'hôpital qui avait trouvé quelque chose de fantastique. Donc on continue dans le genre. Donc voilà les expériences que j'ai pu faire au cours des 10 dernières années et qui montrent vraiment l'intérêt de l'art. La psychologue Laure Mailloux continue, elle aussi, avec les odeurs. Les odeurs, vous savez, c'est important aussi pour les souvenirs, quoi. C'est Proust avec sa Madeleine qui a tous ses souvenirs, vous voyez, comme, et puis aussi avec les poèmes. Vous voyez, on a fait une expérience comme ça. Vous savez qu'en France, il y a souvent des manifestations. Donc, dans une manifestation, dans une gare, au milieu de grève, on a joué du jazz et lu des poèmes. Et tout était transformé. Les gens étaient heureux. La police est venue, nous a dit, vous pouvez revenir quand vous voulez. Vous voyez, c'était la preuve que des effets de l'art, même quand il y a des conflits dans la société.
Thank you very much, Pierre. Maybe a very last question for all of the three of you. Do you think art could be complementary to medication when it comes to healing process? And maybe, Pierre, since you've begun talking about it, maybe you could be the one to answer first.
Oui, alors vous savez qu'on a deux cerveaux, un cerveau qui marche comme un ordinateur, qui nous permet de rester en vie. Mais s'il y avait que celui-là, ce serait triste. Et puis on a un cerveau qui est dédié au plaisir, à la récompense. Et ce cerveau du plaisir et de la récompense, il est stimulé par l'art. Et là, il y a un petit côté chimique qui sécrète plein de bonnes substances, des substances antidépressives, anxiolytiques, qui fait diminuer le stress. Il donne de la dopamine, vous savez, qui est très impliquée dans l'élan vital. Donc, il y a un côté manifestation pharmacologique de l'art. Mais c'est réducteur de dire que ça, parce que on crée du lien avec l'art. On voit donc les œuvres d'art comme si c'était des êtres vivants, que ce soit de l'art visuel, que ce soit de la musique. On cherche à comprendre ce qu'elle veut nous dire. Donc il y a un côté lien, on restaure un lien, et en même temps, on n'est plus tout seul, on retrouve notre individualité. Donc l'art fait du bien, quel que soit le type de pathologie. Bon, bien sûr, encore plus dans les maladies psychosomatiques, mais dans la douleur, quel que soit du prématuré à la personne mourante, l'art fait du bien du début à la fin de notre existence.
Thank you very much, Pierre. Vicky, maybe the same question for you.
I wish I could, my French was good enough to follow Pierre's position first. But yes, and I would have liked to have heard Pierre's position because I don't think my position is as clear. What I know for certain is that the arts have a lot to offer. And I don't think at the moment we take advantage of that. Services rely so heavily on medication. They're relying heavily on talking therapies. And we have a huge resource here with and skilled practitioners, and we're not making good use of them. I know clients, service users are asking for it. I know the pandemic also taught us that without art, life will be much more difficult, especially when the situations around us are closing down and create impossible situations for us to live in. And the shifts are happening, but are not fast enough for some of us. So that's all I have to say at this point.
Thank you, Vicky. Thank you very much. So more like an exploring land that we can see. And so, Alfredo, what would be your position regarding art as a medication?
Yes, I actually only just a few days ago, I heard an amazing presentation by an extremely highly regarded internal medicine physician who was actually talking about his own mentor who had just, died recently. Fortunately, he had a long life, this mentor. But interestingly, he made a special effort to say, have you heard that nowadays more and more people are talking about medicine centered on the person, which means, yes, doctors, usually they stop at medication. They think medication is it. And it's only a fraction. In fact, he was saying it's a small fraction. So now we need to make sure that not only we explain the context where you are having this disease, whatever you're having, whatever, but that I am a human being like you are. So I need to communicate, just communication. Look at that word. Nowadays, you were saying the best the best doctor is not the people who best diagnose or best treat. Is a person who does all that with the best communication, where the person is treated as a, wow, a human being. You're the son of this, or you're the father of this, or you're the husband, or you're the wife, and this is your context where you're living. So don't forget that you need to go back to your context. And so art is part of it, of course, because we know it's music, it's whatever, painting, you were saying, you know, even creative, and even somebody like it was saying, hospitalized. Everyone needs to realize, hey, I might be a patient. I might need to take some pills, but more than that, I need to go back. I need to be human. I need to feel human. So art is one of those ways, but like I say, humanity, that medicine becomes a human aspect of things, not only a scientific, latest research type of things, but this is what we feel like, you know, being a person. Medicine is also humanity. So I will leave it at that generic aspect of things. Thanks.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think this notion of art linked to our humanity is definitely completely in relation to this new notion of integrative health that is coming also in order to better understand the whole being of the person and not only the symptom. Thank you to all the three of you. It was a privilege to have this roundtable about art and healing process. And we wish you a wonderful night. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Beautiful. Right. Excellent. All best.